this is going to be a field gralloch, but it's going to be a suspended gralloch. The last time we did one, it was grallochs on the floor to show you how to take out the viscera while the animal's on the floor. This time we're going to show you how to basically take it out while it's suspended in the field using the hoist here. This hoist is specially designed for us by a client of ours, and it's capable of lifting one of the heaviest red deer up at a comfortable height so you can actually work with it. Okay, so first of all, we brought this deer here in this tray, which you can find them on dairy farms where they have chemicals and bits and pieces that come in to clean the pipelines. And these come in tubs about this big. So what Dave has done with this one is basically cut the bottom of the tray off, and in the bottom, if you can see here, where he's put like basically bread basket panels in the bottom, and you can see here where the blood from this animal has actually drained through into the bottom, so it hasn't sort of contaminated the animal. So what we're going to do now is put this animal up here on the crotch. We're going to use a selection of knives, but for the first we're going to use a 6-inch Mora boning knife. Okay, now I'll show you once again how to take the anus out of fallow deer. You basically cut a slot above the anus and below the tail. Cut a slot above the anus and below the tail, okay? What we've got basically here is a slot that's big enough to you to get a couple of fingers in there. And what we basically do is you walk your fingers around the sort of anal tract, so basically like that, until you can get your fingers through there. Okay, and then ease it out of the carcass in a circular motion, breaking the membranes that are holding this in place. Okay, so we've got it out as far as we want there. And we take our knife and from the inside cut outwards, and there it is. We've got the anal tract out there and it's all loose, ready to pull through. Before we do pull it through, we'll strip any feces that are in the anal tract, strip them out. Okay, so that's that one. We've finished getting the anal tract out, so we're going to give this knife a wipe now because we're going into a different body cavity. Okay, so make sure you use the probe wipes for that. Go back in there. And then to do this, find the end of the sternum and sort of cut down onto the bone of the sternum. So that sort of cutting into there, you can feel that's hard. So you're not going to accidentally puncture the guts by going into there. So you're just down onto the bone. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to open the skin all the way up to the chin, and we're going to open all the abdominal cavity up as well, using the Mora ball tip knife, I call it. We call it a rowing knife, but we use this all the time. Fantastic little knife, which will just slip under the skin nicely. We're just aiming to cut the skin. There it is. So it basically unzips straight down to the chin. Okay. Go the other way. And we're going to, from our initial incision, we're going to go into the abdominal cavity, cut all the way down to the mammary glands. Okay. And the beauty of this knife, it is not going to puncture the guts if you get it in there accidentally. Okay, so that's the beauty of the Mora row knife. So before we do a different operation, we're going to make sure that the knife blade is clean with the antibacterial wipes. What we're going to do then, while the animal's on the crotch, cut down through the incision what we've made to cut all the flesh down to the bone of the sternum. Okay, so we've exposed, so through there you can see we're straight down to the bone. Now to open the chest, I'm going to use the outdoor edge. It's called a flip and zip saw. Now it's incredibly sharp, and it will go through even the breastbone of one of the biggest reds, which we've done. And because it's got a blunt end, it isn't going to puncture anything in there. So we just now cut straight down the centre, The flipper zip saw cuts on its backward stroke. Okay, so this piece is now opened up, ready for grollicking. Trying to keep everything as clean as possible. Sometimes it's not easy out in the field, but just by getting the proper equipment, keeping some proper kit with you, it makes life a lot easier. Okay, so that can go back in the box. Before I do hang it up, I am going to take the legs off as well, because I think it makes it easier for us. And what we do is make a cut through there. Doesn't have to be very big, just enough to get the gambrel through. And then we find the joint that we want, cut it all the way around. We're aiming to cut the skin and the sinews. We're not aiming to cut bone, so we're not going to be sawing it. Okay, and then that should just break off like a carrot. Okay, so that can go down there for a moment. And the same with the other one. Doesn't have to be a very deep cut. Find the joint all the way around, and again break off. And any sinews that are hanging on. Front legs, we're basically looking for the joint, the lower part of the joint. Got all the way around, and then with that at 90 degrees, we cut all the way around. So with this at 90 degrees, you can see where it's already started to open up. Okay, and turn it at 90 degrees and give it a twist, and off it'll come. And just cut the sinews off. This one will be a little bit more tricky because the shoulder is broken on this one. So round we go. Again, like that. 90 degrees, and just give it a good twist. And off she comes. What we're going to do now is we're going to use this incredibly useful hoist. And we're going to put the gambrel on it. And then basically hook this animal onto the gambrel, and then lift him up nice and gently to get him off the floor. You can alter it to the height that you want. Any bleed is going to come straight down to the bottom, so that's high enough for us at the moment to see what we're doing. Okay, so we're going to use a clean knife now. Okay, so what we're going to do now is drop all the stomach contents out of here. You can see this doe is pregnant. There's the uterus with a fetus inside of there. You see what we're doing now? So a lot of people have the tendency to just grab this here and pull it, and you'll never do it, not without loosening all this off here. What people are trying to do there is actually pull the uterus and the womb down there. So what we do is lift that up, and you can see where the anal tract is going through. Right, that's what we freed off at the other end. Okay, so that's coming through there. And there we are, and that comes out of the carcass. You can't do any harm there because it's out. We'll leave this for the time being, because we'll have a look at that in a little while. What we do then is, if you pull all the loose bits of the stomach out, and you can see here the diaphragm. Okay, that's the diaphragm there. Okay, that's skin or wall of muscle between the abdominal cavity and the thoracic cavity. Okay, so what we're going to do is cut through that now and cut around it. So let me get around this side, so hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So while the carcass is opened up, I'm going to put my knife in there. We're basically doing this to cut through the diaphragm, and the same at that, everywhere where it's holding on. Okay, so come to the middle there. Right, so what we're doing, we carry on basically cutting around the diaphragm. Okay, so there's the liver, and we're cutting above the liver, still around the diaphragm. So you can see it's coming out all down to there. And the weight of the offal and the stomach is actually pulling down most of what you need to get out anyway. Okay. We grab what this is, we grab the aorta and free that off and pull that down. And then with two simple strokes of the knife, one at that side and one at that side, it will basically free this off as you want it. And then cut that down there until what we'll do then is basically take the head off. Now, taking the head off, some people struggle with it, some people don't. I've seen all sorts of different methods of people trying to take the heads off of deer, and it is relatively easy. If you can, if I can show you here, when you've got the head looking straight down at the head, you need a line directly at the back of the ear. Not there. A lot of people do it back behind the ears, yet they do it there. It's too far away. It needs to be directly behind the ears. Okay, can you see that? So that line directly behind the ears, basically put your knife in there, put it all the way through. This is where a long boning knife comes in handy, and cut outwards. And then around here we basically stick our knife through there and again cut outwards. You won't get the head off cleanly unless you cut all the way around. It's got the skin, the sinews, the ligaments all the way around. Okay, and then hold it by one ear, and you can see that joint there. That's the joint we want, where the knife's gone in. It's almost trying to sort of open up on its own, and that's you know, if you've got one ear, it's basically doing it on its own. So the head is not difficult to get off. It's the technique you use. If you get the technique right, it will come off easily, I promise you. And the key, the trick, is to get that sort of at the back of the ear. That line behind the ear is where that joint is. You can see the edge of the joint, you can see its position now. If you cut it too far up, you're going to struggle every time, and occasionally I do as well. Occasionally everybody does. It doesn't matter how many deer you've done. Occasionally you get it wrong, especially when you get a bit complacent, and it sort of reminds you when you're struggling to get the head off. Okay, taking the head off a roe is just exactly the same as what you've just seen with the fallow deer, which is basically exactly the same. Get your knife at a line directly behind the ears. Okay, hold one ear, and on that line just put your knife through, come out there. Okay, then keep your knife cutting from the inside to the out, all the way through there. Cut everything around. This time of the year the hair is very loose, so cut all the way around like that. And exactly the same as the fallow, if you hold on to one ear, okay, can you see where it's starting to sort of open up, that joint? By holding one ear, all you need to do is just steer your knife through that joint and off it'll come effortlessly. Okay, that's how easy it is to get the head off a deer when you know how to do it.